we didn't talk about men getting raped by women as well. Or men getting raped by men.
Or by trans people. Anybody. Men getting assaulted. Men getting raped.
What is the most common one you see?
Because I'm queer myself, I'm bisexual. I see a lot of queer men in my practice, so I see the male on male more. But that's because people will choose a queer therapist because they feel more connected to someone like that. I think if you ask someone else with a different identity, they will say a different thing. So we have to really depend on proper statistics for this. We don't have it yet for India.
Okay, so there's no fixed answer. It can
There's
be...
no fixed answer, but overall, upar say, if you say, it is more common for a male on male rape to get more attention than it is for a woman doing it to a man in India. Because there is, can we go into a deeper answer? Homophobia is part of, let's say, sexual repression, right? Like, especially in India, there's a sense of like,
छी, ये क्या?
मैं नहीं हूँ, मैं तो नहीं हूँ, हाँ? तू फेमिनिन है ना, तू फेमिनिन मैन है ना, तो तू होगा. It I mean, automatically goes there for someone that it's an attack to my masculinity that you may be a different kind of man or something. So there's a kind of like and for women, for lesbians, it's a little bit different where it becomes hypersexualized. So they are these two lesbians, they're probably doing it for me. This is part of my own history that I've written in the book and talked about a lot, that like in college when I was coming out as bisexual, so many of my own guy friends were like, oh, are you going to perform for us? Like, are you going to, like, like, what do your parents think? Like, isn't this something you do for attention? So it's always seen as like, it's performative because of porn, because of what you see in porn. So two lesbians cannot be in love. Unless they have a penis, they cannot be in love. That's the idea.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the mainstream understanding. So homophobia towards men and bisexual men have it horrible. The bisexual men have no acceptance, very less acceptance from other men, straight men, from women, straight women, from lesbian women also, because they feel like, I'm not sure what this guy is about, and there's kind of this threat feeling. These are the ruptures inside the queer community also. But in general, men are like just generally seen as always stoic, powerful and masculine responses, as having these masculine responses. So it's always seen as their abuse is kind of not that big. They're making a big deal. They should just shut up.
Have you seen any men in India who got raped by women?
Currently, all the time. Yeah. My current...
Sorry, I'm asking you such a basic question. But how? Because for sex, you need an erect penis. And then if you're being forced to have sex, the erection can happen, right? It's an involuntary erection. That's the major doubt that most men have about being raped by a woman. Okay, that's one aspect, and I'll allow you to expand on that. But the other question is, what was the intention of the woman involved? Because especially when it comes to Indian women, in my experience, and a lot of Indian guys would probably agree with me, Indian guys love and admire Indian women as compared to women from other countries, because there seems to be more empathy in the Indian woman for whatever reason.
Okay.
I don't know if Indian girls feel like that as well. But there is a sense of like mamta in Indian women much more as compared to other nationalities. So I personally, as an Indian man, can't fathom the possibility of an Indian woman raping an Indian man. Correct me if I'm wrong, and please expand on this full topic.
Yeah, so survivors will find what you said really triggering, because it's full of the stereotypes that one is trying to also kind of correct in mainstream culture, which is why I think it's really good that you asked it in this way. So we'll go step by step. Firstly, now Ranveer, I want to also bust a myth that I don't think it's Indian women and Indian men. I think it depends on the context, the cultural context you come from. You're Punjabi, as I understand. Punjabi masculinity and Punjabi femininity has a very different manifestation from a Bengali masculinity, Bengali femininity. Has a very different from Kannadiga. Kannadiga culture, women are more dominant. So when I used to live in Delhi, I used to stick out like a sore thumb, because I'm more like assertive about my opinions. I speak loud, like a loud voice, and I like interaction with people. People were like, what is this? Like, and a lot of my Punjabi friends were just like, oh, but in Karnataka, this is like, oh, great. She's the head of the house. Love her. Like, let her just do, like, no problems. This has not been a problem for me growing up in my cultural heritage. So the mamta factor is also very culturally kind of like deep. You have to understand what that person's background history is. Mamta is not necessarily something that, let's say, Kannadiga women, yes, we nurture men, but it's not necessarily seen as the main thing. We associate to hard work, getting shit done. Okay, so you'll see like typical Bangalore boys being much more softer, much more nurturing, actually. So this is a Kannadiga thing. So that's what I mean. Okay, that's the problem with colonial thinking, man. Like, it's all written from other perspectives, so we think it's true for us. Actually, our culture is so rich and diverse, and nobody's written on it, these things, that unless you have experience, you're not going to know. So coming to rape now. Erection is one part of the process, just like if vaginal wetness or lubrication is not a sign of arousal. It's a sign of maybe discharge. It's a sign of maybe a little arousal but not consent. Maybe she's enjoying it but she hasn't said, yes, please enter me. Please touch me this way. This is why this topic is so difficult to talk about, and most people don't want to get into it because it's like a thorny path with 150 rocks the moment you step. Everything is difficult to explain. Okay, so with male rape, erection is one part of the process. Now, if there is a woman who is the assaulter, let's take an example that I am currently working with, somebody I've written about in the book that I've changed names. It's an older woman, house help, and then another example, an auntie, who's going towards a younger 17-year-old boy. Okay. Now, the sexual abuse part is not just in the horniness. The sexual abuse part is the horniness is probably natural for a 17-year-old boy, for a 40-year-old older woman, that she's attractive, maybe there's a mother thing going on. Like, I mean, I find nurturing women sweet, etc., etc. But for her to abuse the dynamic is the rape part, is to go into it and maliciously use his innocence and vulnerability towards her and then force herself upon his penis, erect or not, force herself upon his penis, and not wait, fourth part of the story, not wait for any signal from him.
What, as in?
Is he 17 is actually illegal, right? Because it's a child, still a child. So in this example, just forcing myself onto a young horny boy and saying that, yeah, I'm going to use you for my pleasure, like a dildo, like I would use a dildo. So in this example that I'm talking about, this is an older maid who does this to a younger child. And because we live in sexual repression, the maid has normalized it. That woman has normalized it. That he's a young fellow, no? He's probably interested in me. Like, this is hot. So the person that I'm working with, that I let's say I used to work with, he's said to me many times that my fetish towards older women comes from there. Like, I like much older women because it was like 10 years of this where I thought this was normal, that I was in love with someone, 15 years my senior when I was a kid, like younger child. It's only later when I started talking to my friends about sex and just understanding other relationships that I saw this much age gap is a little weird. And more than the age gap, she never asked me explicitly, like, do you know what we're doing? Do you know what this is? I was just seen as an automatic pleasure mechanism for her.
So he may even have been enjoying it at that point.
This is a hard thing to talk about with sexual violence. Yes, Ranveer. Like, do you enjoy the 8th paratha that you're having when you're gluttonous in front of Netflix? Probably. So, but does it mean that, so paratha is at least like self-inflicted, but if someone is sitting there and just forcing things down your throat and it's like sugary substance or it's a substance you enjoy and there's a large age gap and they know this is bad for you, they know they are getting more from that equation than you. They know they're changing your mind about this. Then it's on the person with more power there, right? Either age or status or whatever. So the thing with the male thing is that men are just not believed as people with the ability to even say no, because it's constantly associated with, if you were erect, that means you were horny, that means you gave the signal. You see how complex it is though?
But
and can I say one more
yeah,
thing?
please.
This is why it's hard to prove in court, and this is also why these topics are very difficult to talk about, because first thing is people are like, where is the evidence? How do we believe? Who do we believe? And these are all very justified questions which require very deep philosophical thought and proper justice systems and a healthy conversation between the law setters and the police people and the general public and all. And of course, we don't live in such a society in the world where this is happening. So what's happening right now is everyone's in their own polarized bubbles, like survivors, perpetrators, police, everybody's doing their own thing. But this relational aspect of what we're doing, right? Like you're saying few things, I'm putting it into my context. I'm saying few things, you're taking in your... This is very healthy. This is not happening. So who's paying the brunt? The traumatized. Getting more traumatized.
But what is male trauma as an outcome of being raped by a woman? Like what happens, other, like how you spoke about this particular case where now he's attracted only to like older women?
But not just that. He's not just attracted. He's not feeling like... He is okay, fine. If he was just attracted and that was his preference, he is feeling like that his rape was not even true, that it didn't even happen to him because he must have been the sex object. So he's looking at himself as an object that is to be served, that has to serve women in his life. So this is a common aspect of rape also, that many men are not able to distinguish between a healthy sexuality and a sexuality for someone else. So this is where codependency comes in, people-pleasing comes in, not being able to say no comes in. The woman is thinking it's consensual. He's getting into many experiences of sex. 3 years later, realizing with his girlfriend that actually he didn't want it like the whole of 2021. He was getting triggered, or they'll have panic attacks. They'll go into the bathroom and cry. Another example is, but they'll not tell their partner that they're crying, and it'll manifest as like rage. It'll manifest as irritation, as distraction, as workaholism.
Got it. Okay. It enters other aspects of your life as well, other than just the bedroom. Okay.
Which is what Unashamed is about. I mean, at the core of it, why I wrote the book is actually to do the details of this, to explain to a layperson how what you're seeing on the surface is just one part of the story. There is an iceberg. Especially if you love your partner, then that iceberg is your problem.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Hey, if you enjoyed today's clip, make sure you check out all the other clips we've uploaded on this channel. You'll find a clip related to almost every single topic as long as you're willing to search for it.